Ligers, Celtic Ligers, Celtic Ligers, Celtic Ligers, Celtic Ligers, Celtic.
Hello.
Hello and welcome to Cyberpunk.
So yeah. Cyberpunk.
Project Red.
What about Project Fred? Do you remember that guy from YouTube?
Yes. And now that's our voices sound like Fred now for the next 10 seconds.
For the next
So do what you want with it.
remainder of the podcast.
For the remainder of the podcast, they all sound like Fred. I've added them in now, so they all sound like Fred.
Remember he got a film, and I was like,
Yes.
oh, I guess all the YouTubers will get films now, and then they didn't.
I mean, a lot of them what's it? The Annoying Orange had a TV series on Nickelodeon,
Did he?
and then there was like a girl who was kind of past my time, and her name was like Miranda or something.
Miranda
she played like
Sings.
a character. I could be wrong. Didn't she
She
have a
was on-
Netflix TV series?
Yeah, she was on that. Comedians get in cars and coffee,
Oh, really?
and she was on that, and Seinfeld just did not know what to make of her.
Well, it's kind of like fucking Sarah Cooper as well. It's there with deals like that. I don't know what Fred's like, but usually if somebody has like kind of sweetheart kind of deal with movie and TV, then they've got some sort of uncle or somebody who's
Yeah,
in entertainment in some description. You know.
that's it. I wish I had a paedophile uncle so I could
Yeah.
become successful.
I was gonna say like I wish I had a pedophile like Jerry Seinfeld, and because I thought that would be a joke, and then I realized no, he is a pedophile. No, he's not. He's not a pedophile. But he did date a
17-year-old.
16 or 17-year-old girl. Well, he dated her when she was in high school, and there's
Yeah.
like when he
She was
publicly
yeah.
dated her, and then when he was dating her. Do you know what I'm saying? Do you know?
Yeah, I think that if you're like publicly dating a 17-year-old, you don't. You would also publicly date a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
So
What was the other one? I found out recently, that in Love Actually, that scene where they put the cards up outside for carolers?
no, I haven't seen it.
Well, there's like a famous scene where like it's all made up of vignettes of these kind of little love stories, and basically, the guy from 12 Years a Slave, the lead character,
Yeah, Michael Fassbender.
he's dating... No.
He's the lead character, in my opinion.
He's the slave, yeah.
He's a slave to.
He's the real slave, Sorry, I'm getting all over the place, but Citations Needed had a great podcast this week where they basically compared and contrasted the current Democratic kind of response to defund the police with back in the day with the abolition of slavery. They were like, the people who want slavery to end are just as bad as the people who want slavery to continue. And really, like, who's to say, they're actually making their own demands harder to obtain just by being so against slavery,
Yeah.
But anyway, they were bringing that up in relation to that. But so that was off of 12 Years a Slave. But anyway, so the 12 Years a Slave guy is dating Keira Knightley, and then the guy from Walking Dead, Andrew Lincoln, he like fancies his friend's girlfriend, and then on Christmas he like knocks on the door, and so she goes down to fetch the door, and then the 12 Years a Slave guy is upstairs, and he's like, "Who is it?" And she sees that it's Walking Dead, and he has these cards, and the cards say like, fucking say it's carolers. And then she's like, "It's carolers." And then he just like pulls the cards up and he starts to go, he has these cards, and so she's reading them, and he's basically saying, and then he's playing fake carol singers, and then the cards are reading like, "Actually, I think you're really hot, but I know that I can't date you." And they don't actually say this verbatim. They say something kind of swoony and romantic, and
Yeah.
and he's like, "Because it's Christmas, I can say that I fancy you, even just because without any agenda, even though." But anyhow, I found out yesterday that she was 17 when they were recording that.
Okay.
I just thought that was really funny. It's like they both of them are like maybe 15 years older. Do you know? And it's 17 in the UK. What's the age of consent in the UK? James, you'd know.
Yeah. I don't know, but how old is she supposed to be in the film?
I'd say easily like late 20s, early 30s.
Right.
Honest to God. Like, because they're all meant to be like, you know, kind of 20, 30 something working professionals.
Okay. So you're sort of surprised that she was playing an age not of her own, like.
No, that like both of these guys were kind of like vying for relationships with this child, you know?
In the film.
In the film, yeah.
But she wasn't playing a child in the film.
No, but it's just, it was kind of, yeah, I suppose. Okay, fine. But it's like, imagine living with like
No, I get
a
you.
17-year-old.
I think it was crazy. Do you see Christian Bale beat up all those people?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know? Not fair. You know?
I know. He just gets away with it. All those cameras were pointing right at him. He just got away with it.
And I can't believe that Mark Hamill chopped his own fucking hand off, you know? For like the far, like, well, you know, sorry, I forgot which hand when he chopped his hand off, and it was actually the second one. So a lot of people would say that was worth getting your hand chopped off.
Why did he chop his hand off?
Luke Skywalker
What?
got his hand chopped off in Empire Strikes Back.
Right. Why?
I think Darth Vader chopped it off.
Stinger.
But I thought it happened in Return of the Jedi, and I was going to say like, oh, that's, you know, a far inferior film. Apparently, to be honest, I know everything about Star Wars, and I don't have any particular interest in Star Wars. Do you know that way?
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't give a fuck.
I know.
Anyhow,
I know everything about Star Wars. Ask me any question.
What's Chewbacca's last name?
Yeah, that's crazy. Okay, now moving on.
Yeah, Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah.
Our good friend Gavin Dre, who appears as the voice in Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah.
It was funny because I was like, you and I were texting about this because of the whole stuff that's happened over Cyberpunk, and I was like, oh no, poor Gavin, and then I was realizing like, who did the voice of Nico Bellic in Grand Theft Auto 4?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're like, you know, it's like, it's a cool thing to be the lead of a video game, but we just like, what's this going to mean for Gavin? It's like, nothing at all. Like, you know what I mean? Like, nobody gives a shit if you were, you know, the lead in a video game that was poorly received, you know?
It's crazy. Like, I haven't seen what do you call them? Trailers for Cyberpunk 2077. I would say for 2 years. Like, maybe I've dreamt that up, but I feel it's been a very long time.
No, I think it's been longer. I mean, I think to me, like, okay, so when I was about 15, I started like following video games, okay?
Yeah.
And so I would like log on to, I think there was like a website called computerandvideogames.com or something. It was a magazine. So it sounds like I just fucking typed the first thing into Google. But actually, no, it was a magazine that I was visiting the official website of. And after like, I remember like doing this for about 3 or 4 years, and then I just gave up because the news was like the exact same constantly.
Yeah.
It was like, there's a new console coming out, and who knows, what the price will be. Here are the specs, and then it would just keep going and going and going and going. And then same with games, you just see like, here's another screenshot for like Zelda, and then it would just like, I swear to God, by about 3 or 4 years later, and then Zelda not released, you're just like, what the fuck is the point of following this news?
The only one I remember following was San Andreas, you know, GTA San Andreas, and like,
yeah,
that one definitely lived. That was probably the only game that lived up to the hype, like, you know, for me.
oh yeah,
I mean, because I'd never fully invest in the hype for any other game, you know. But I remember, like, you get the magazines and they'd be like, oh, you can cycle a bike, you know, or you can your car can get fat, and
yeah. I remember that, like, the one big thing was, like, because, you know, you had Liberty City, or whatever, GTA 3, and then Vice City, and then Vice City was like, wow, this map is really big, but, oh yeah, that was it. One of the big things was if you fall in the water in Vice City, I believe you just die.
Yeah.
Don't you?
Yeah.
So then it was like, you can swim in this. Like, what?
Yeah.
And then there was a bit where they said, like, oh yeah, here's how big the map is, and they showed, like, there is, you're in the middle of a city, and then all of a sudden you're in a canyon, and then you're in a forest, and there's, like, tractors, and then they were saying as well that there would be, like, I think that this turned out not to be true, but that there would be animals. And am I crazy? But was this in 4 or in San Andreas that they recorded comedy sets that you could go and watch?
I think that was 4. I don't think that was.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the craziest thing about San Andreas was that there are 3 cities.
Yeah,
I remember that really blowing my mind, that you can, like, drive, and then you leave a city, and then you go into another city. That's different.
I know, it was insane. And I mean, like, the thing that I love to do, basically, as soon as I got the controller, people were like, don't do that again. And I would just do it all the time. Because, you know, I would, wherever we were, I would immediately drive out to the desert, okay?
Yeah.
And then I would get a motorbike, and then I would wait for Horse with No Name to come on, and then go up to the top of the tallest peak, and then just drive it off the top while listening to that song. I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world to be on this dirt bike going off the top of a hill.
I loved doing that as well.
Went through the desert.
I didn't wait for the
so
song,
cool.
but yeah, I loved driving to the highest peak of the game, and then just, like, trying to drive down or jumping off or all this sort of stuff.
And then 1979 by Smashing Pumpkins, wasn't that was also on it, you know, which was great.
I didn't really listen to the music.
No, I love the music. The era was, like, perfect, to be honest, and that was also, it had that controversy at the time of the hot coffee. That was, like, one of the first controversies that I remembered in video games.
Yeah, CJ spilled the coffee on his lap.
And it was like, oh no, he ruined the game.
That's it. He's a freaking lib. Suing.
Yeah.
He sues too easily, you know?
Well, when I'm saying, like, well, actually, that's apparently that's, like, a real urban legend, as in, like, the woman, she, like, suffered, like, incredible.
I saw the pictures. It's like,
like, she's fucked. She was like, her life was, like, fucked after that burn.
It's like,
and, like,
her legs melted together, like.
Yeah. And like, it was kind of mocked, but again, because of, like, the media kind of apparatus that McDonald's were able to wield with, like, lawyers and PR people and stuff, and it was just to be like, don't ever try to sue us again. And it was like, you fucked up, you know?
Yeah.
But anyhow, with Cyberpunk 2077, like, I think, sorry, we were talking about, like, the news, because you were like, oh, I've been hearing about this forever, and I was like, I just have tuned that out. Because you just hear about video games forever in a fucking day, you know?
Yeah.
For me. So then, like, when it was out, it was like, oh, it's out? Oh, okay. And I think, like, I expected it to be buggy, and I expected it to not live up to the hype. I haven't played it, but the videos that I've seen online were incredibly funny, where somebody was, like walking down a street, and then a red car passes them, and then they turn around, and then the red car has just vanished. Yeah,
I heard that basically they couldn't. You were explaining that, like, they basically just took shortcuts to solve so many things because didn't seem to be time or something. And, like, one of the shortcuts is that they're having trouble designing the traffic AI. So then instead of designing AI, they were just like, every time you turn away, all the cars disappear. And then reappear when you look. Like, that was just the whole thing, is that the world didn't have any sense of coherency because, like, just that, every time you looked away, half the city would vanish and then have to be regenerated, you know?
That's what people noticed immediately, because they'd be, like, driving down the street, and then somebody did one, it was like, like again, one of the last consoles I had before this, currently having a PlayStation 4, I had a PS2, so this stuff was kind of lost on me. I mean, I knew it was bad, okay, but like somebody pulls up at a traffic light or something, and like basically what I believe happens with video games is that they only have a certain amount of memory, or like an ability to show however many things on screen at the same time. So you have a mid-range texture, a far-range texture, and then a close-range texture.
Yeah.
And then the game replaces them as it comes about, you know. But then with consoles, sometimes like it can't replace the texture fast enough. So you'll pull up to like a stop and you'll see the mid-range texture for something, you know.
Yeah, they used to happen all the time in GTA.
Exactly.
When you drove too quickly, it would start blurring.
Yeah. Or like you go too quickly and then all of a sudden like a lamppost would appear out of nowhere and just destroy you, you know?
Yeah.
So anyways, this person pulled up at a traffic light and there was a mid-range texture and they looked at it, I swear to God, for a full-on 5 seconds before it turned into a close-range texture. And they were
Really?
standing like just a fucking foot in front of it in game terms, you know? And they were like, are you for real? Like this is like because they were talking about delaying the game and just keeping it delayed, and there was like talks about crunch that happened in the studio, and I guess what seems to have happened, the closest one that I remember it being was No Man's Sky.
You think it was like that, do you?
No, I mean like culturally speaking, it was similar to No Man's Sky, which is basically they got this guy called Sean Murray who worked for Hello Games. No Man's Sky was going to be a procedurally generated space exploration game that had like billions of different planets, you know?
Exactly, like as many planets as there are stars in the sky or something like that. Something
because
huge.
of...
Like, actually, I think it was like literally something supposed to be like 100 million planets.
I'm not like, that is like the way... So, and apparently so just to do it chronologically, so Sean Murray was asked about this, are you for real? This is going to happen? And he's like, yep. and then they were like, that sounds incredible. And then this amazing trailer got released and people were like, what, this is... And you're fighting in a fighter pilot? Yep, you're doing that.
Yep. And you can meet your friends in there.
And you can meet your friends and you can go into other people's planets, the planets that they discover. And yep, that's what you can do. And he's on like Stephen Colbert, and Stephen Colbert is like, you can do this. And he's like, yes, that's 100%. And they're just interviewing him constantly. By the way, this guy's from Belfast, incidentally.
Typical Belfast, isn't it? Promising everything, delivering nothing.
I just found that funny that anyway, at the time I was like, wow, this is incredible, and this is like an Irish person doing this. This is amazing. Although maybe he didn't consider himself Irish, but whatever.
Exactly.
But anyway, the game was first of all, it was delayed, and people were sending death threats to the developers.
Yeah.
And that was very funny to me.
That's the weirdest part. It's like Cyberpunk were like afraid to delay the game anymore because they kept getting death threats, and it's like, what sort of fan base is that?
I don't know. Like
imagine like, do people do that with the Sonic movie where people like sending death threats and stuff?
Like I think it really shows something's wrong with the culture and with reality.
Yeah.
Like people's lives are so miserable that it's like I'm not joking. I did see I think Elon Musk actually shared, he found an example of somebody talking about Cyberpunk, and I was like, please don't delay this again because I don't know what I have to live for. Like somebody had literally now, whether that was a joke or not, it's like the idea that is like you're getting death threats. It's like there are people out there who, whether they realize it or not, do actually think that. They're like, I can't live in this world. I need to be somewhere else, you know?
It's like a death threat is one thing, but like a suicide threat is. Or like, not a suicide threat, but someone saying like, this game is keeping me alive, so please don't delay it. That's so much worse.
I know, but anyhow, with they did that with No Man's Sky, and then they eventually released No Man's Sky, and it turned out, lo and behold, it didn't have nearly the same amount of features that your man had promised. But then what happened is, over the course of the game's life cycle, they kept releasing patches for it, none of which you have to pay for, by the way.
Yeah.
As in, like, there was updates to the game that to this day are still free of charge if you buy the game, you know. So anyhow, I heard from a bunch of people that basically the game now exists as the game that they initially promised,
Really?
which
I'll
is
buy
like oh, that's kind of cool, you know, because you can fight now, you can meet alien races, you can talk to people. There are like this guy says like he doesn't know if there are billions of planets because it would kind of be difficult to check, but he's like there are definitely countless planets, you know.
Wow.
So you know it sounded interesting, but anyways, Cyberpunk seems more akin to that Duke Nukem Forever,
Yeah.
where they just, I guess they kind of lost the run of themselves and they kind of got a lot
That's
of
it.
publicity, and
Like,
then yeah. Hey there, we end up moving on. So I just, for those of you who don't know, Duke Nukem was a first-person shooter that was released in the 90s, and they were going to make a sequel to it. The sequel was announced in 1997 and then eventually only released in 2010 after it was taken over by another developer. But it seemed that there was like always new footage of it going to appear on, you know, the current platform of technology, and then of course it would come and go, and then that technology would get old, and then all of a sudden it would be on the next thing, and it looked like they rebuilt the game about 10 times, and like it's over the course of 97 to 2010. You do the freaking math. Long time anyway, and then it eventually came out, and it was you know, unsurprisingly, people thought it was quite old and dated, and it wasn't particularly funny. So yeah, in case anybody's interested that didn't already know.
I knew I've been sort of talking about the game. I knew there was going to be a problem when I watched this video, and the guy was like, the whole thing of the video was like, if you look around the city and you look in the bins, well, the rubbish in the bins is all from products that populate the real world. That's how detailed the game is. That the rubbish is it's like altered models of real world models.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, you're selling this game now on how detailed the bins are. It's
Yeah.
just because I think after Red Dead Redemption 2, the whole thing became how detailed games could be. Like Red Dead Redemption 2 was sort of funny because there was that thing about like the horse's balls would shrink in the cold weather and stuff. Like they sort of understood what's funny and what's good and all this sort of stuff. Whereas Cyberpunk 2077 were like, I don't know, does anyone care about bins? Does anyone give a shit about that?
Well, the other thing is like, you know, so they made this. Here's what I think as well. So you have like, sorry, what am I saying? I'm basically saying that video games, just the more popular ones, kind of tend to emulate movies or be like escapism, wish fulfillment. Like, oh, you want to be a cowboy? You want to be a gangster? You know? So this one was like, oh, do you want to be in like this futuristic kind of amazing thing? And people were like, fuck yes, I would love to do that, you know? And so that appeal of the game, you know, really worked. But then I don't know their games before CD Projekt. I think that they did like The Witcher and stuff, didn't they? Am I wrong?
I don't know.
Like they kind of had this, but anyway, online people could I'm just trying to see. Yeah, they did the Witcher series. So people were kind of excited to see like a kind of, oh yeah, like a game like The Witcher, except it's in like, you know, this kind of post cyberpunk kind of era thing.
Yeah.
And but anyway, apparently their social media output was always like, my gender is an attack helicopter. They'd be that type of, you know,
that's so
like
funny.
edgelord bullshit. And so that's also what led to the things happening like fucking Keanu Reeves appearing in the game. It's like, whoa, epic baking, Keanu Reeves is here, you know? And then that kind of just like, that was already a recipe for disaster. This was like, could have been just like a little fun game where you're off like playing as a fucking cyberpunk. But for some reason, maybe like like this is such a stupid comparison, but like the Joker, like where it's like, what is it about the combination of these colors and this thing that is so appealing to everybody?
Yeah, it just sets you off so completely.
So like with Cyberpunk, it's like, what is it about that Cyberpunk aesthetic that gets everybody so fucking amped, you know?
Yeah.
And then you have like Keanu Reeves in there, and it's like, well, that's game over. Now it's like, how could this possibly live up to the hype at all, you know?
Do you know what else gets people amped up?
What? Tell me. Porno.
Porno.com.
Here's the thing. On Monday, I saw this headline or something, and it was like, activists welcome.
I saw this headline, and it was, MILF. And I said, I must
MILF
read
walks
this article.
in on steps on, I don't know, whatever. The Sun thing is something. I mean, we're not going to dwell on this, but can I tell you that the fucking incest stuff is
unspeakably grim.
I'm like, this is so fucking awful, and I hate this, and I hate men. I hate them. I hate my gender. I hate everything about me. You know.
The article I read, it was called "The Children of Pornhub," which was a little sneak preview.
No, so on Monday, this is actually a precursor to what we're actually talking about. But on Monday, they activists welcome MasterCard. MasterCard basically prevented payment to Pornhub from accounts in Ireland. Okay?
Yeah.
Because of some sort of like sexual abuse violation, you know. And then, and you have that. And then the next day, Pornhub deletes 60% of its content, which is any account that was not verified.
Oh, right, okay.
No, but that's 60%, you know?
Yeah, but like, that's not, they're just saying that they're deleting everything where they can. They have no guarantee that the people are over 18. So like,
yeah,
that's a why, like, it's not like 60% was child porno. Yeah. So the thing is, the way this whole thing's structured is, there's a company called MindGeek.
Yeah.
And it owns, apparently like any porn site you could find, it owns, basically.
Yeah.
You know? So the ones you read about are like Pornhub or, like RedTube or something.
Yeah.
Like it owns all of these free sites and a lot of, paid sites as well.
Yeah.
So, so even though Pornhub has said deleted 60, basically what they found is that there's just a huge amount of child pornography on these sites, and the article I read, it was like some of it is 16-year-olds or 17-year-olds uploading stuff, or maybe being exploited by their older partner, but there is a lot of like 13, 14-year-old stuff. That's apparently very easily accessible.
Yeah.
So when this came out, that's why Pornhub deleted so much of their stuff. But so Pornhub is one subsidiary of this company MindGeek that owns a million other porn sites. So it's like they've been found out on one site, but like, I mean, I don't know if I doubt it. They don't seem to have done anything regarding their other, 10 million.
I mean, you have
free
to wonder
porn
as
sites.
well.
So my point is that like, if you go to any other website, it's probably still filled with child pornography, and it's still owned by the people who own Pornhub.
Not to mention, like, given how long Pornhub has been around and how accessible and easy it is to upload to all this stuff, it's kind of like, are you honestly telling me that this is the first time that you thought there was a problem with child pornography, or is it because of that thing I mentioned that happened on Monday where MasterCard were able to stop you getting paid? It's like, that's the only reason that this was addressed at all,
Well, like, the thing you hear is, so like when you read about, like, what do they call it? Image-based sexual abuse now, like, it used to be called revenge porn. They, people would write in, they'd be like, there's this video up, I'm under 18, so can you take it down? And they would, but it's like, how many times does that have to happen before you take proactive measures to
Yes, exactly.
make sure that 18-year-old pornography or like child pornography can't be put up on your servers.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like this has been an ongoing problem for them, and it's only once they've been punished monetarily that they've actually decided to do something about it. But even what they've decided to do is sort of obfuscating the problem, you know, because like I say, we'll see if they take the similar measures on all their other websites, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But like Reddit works exactly the same. Reddit used to have this subreddit called Jailbait, which was for
Jesus.
it's like sexual pictures of under 18-year-olds, and that was like up until maybe 2010. That was like probably later. It was the subreddit. It was like the biggest subreddit, and like it wasn't hidden at all. And then they banned it, but they banned it because Reddit were trying to move to a more advertising-based model.
Yeah.
So they were like, well, it's hard to get advertisers when you're one of the largest child pornography sites on the website, on the internet. So they deleted it. But like, all these people have no issue with child pornography. You know what I mean?
No. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they do with regards to like certain types, you know, I would say. Like, I don't think they would view like 16-year-olds being exploited as a serious issue, you know? Obviously, it was like a kid being molested or something, they would, but
I mean, even then, like, I was just thinking, I pulled it up now, there was a documentary called Call Me Lucky back in 2015, directed by Bobcat Goldthwait. That was Barry Crimmins was the center of it. He was a stand-up comedian, but basically he was sexually abused as a child, and you know, like, it's about his comedy and it's about his life. But in the midway through the film, he discovers that this is back in, I guess, the mid to early 2000s, but a instant messenger, you know, AIM or whatever over in the States, the AOL was
we got MSN, that sort of thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like MSN, except it was on AOL in America, and which was America Online. The acronym stood for, I don't know if they're still around, but essentially their chat rooms were knowingly facilitating pedophiles and child groomers. And he took them to Congress to kind of, basically he was at them for years and years and years and years, being like, this is happening. And he even pretended to be a child on these to try and court this attention, and it was not fucking hard to do, you know?
Yeah.
And he had a list of people who were trying to have sex with underage people, and he couldn't get them interested at all. They weren't bothered, and he discovered it was because they were making money off of this somehow, you know.
Really?
Yeah, so it's him in Congress, and he kind of really takes them to task over it, and it's quite a powerful documentary. It's you know,
but I guarantee you,
yeah,
the same stuff is happening on TikTok. Like, it's, I don't even know, it's just as overt. Like, did it before. You see, you'll be flicking through, and it'll be like, you know, some young girl, and then the comments will be like, you should set up a OnlyFans. And she's like,
yeah.
I will when I'm 18, you know, can't wait.
Yeah.
And like, that's grooming. And also, like, if you're publicly asking a child to set up an OnlyFans, you're also like, you're gonna, there's definitely an industry there where they're just like privately messaging them for photographs, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's so blatant, so on the nose. It's so almost surreal, you know? It's almost like freaking Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah, so
know?
let's get back to what we're really here to talk about, which is
Yeah.
Cyberpunk 20. Can I just say as well, one thing you said there? No, I was just thinking about
Yeah.
in relation
what was
to
that website you mentioned?
you mentioned in the past about, we were talking about Hunter Biden and how that story was kind of throttled in the crib, basically, you know, or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, what a weird expression. I don't know why I said that, but But I was just thinking about it in relation to this Pornhub thing, because it's like, wow, 60% of your content gone. It's like, okay, yeah. But imagine if that was like YouTube or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, or imagine if that was like Facebook or Twitter or something. It's just like the complete power of tech companies. Like, there should be a moral imperative for them to do this type of stuff. And they should not respond solely to financial incentives, obviously. And there needs to be clearer guidelines and you know, stuff that's enforceable when it comes to these tech companies. But at the same time, it's like, seeing something like that, that was a pause for thought for me. I was just like, holy shit, like, you know, that's imagine that. Imagine just like I said, like YouTube, 60% of it just disappears overnight because some guy can do that, you know?
Here's what I don't understand, right? Is that maybe it's just solely some weird international law, but like Pornhub run their servers, like don't they? They probably own their own servers.
I think
to
so.
run the website.
I don't know.
So if I upload something onto theirs, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're storing it. So like, essentially what I'm hearing is that Pornhub are storing and distributing child pornography.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that just a crime? Like, regardless of all this other stuff, like, isn't it illegal to own child pornography? Why aren't they going after him? Do you know what I mean? Like, I guess I don't understand that. It's like, it's so clear that he owns and distributes child pornography, which is illegal, and ignorance is no excuse. Like, just arrest him. Just put him in jail. Like, it's fucking disgusting, you know?
I don't know how it works. I mean, I guess it's like open to anybody. So, you know, can you be held responsible for something that somebody else uploads? But then, like you say, like he's
running the fucking thing. Sorry, it's actually lashing. I think it's coming through in the recording, so I'm just gonna move.
All right, we're back. We were talking about
child pornography.
Oh yeah, is it like, how does he not get arrested for child pornography? And it's because I was saying, like, well, can you really be held responsible for stuff that other people are uploading? But then again, like, it being brought to his attention, it's hard for me to imagine that hasn't happened before. Like, it is of course going to be used for something like that, and especially as you say with like secondary school students, it's like, you know, I think like there's a lot of murkiness and little understood about tech companies, but also there's a lack of willingness to understand, you know?
Yeah.
But also I wonder whether there is an opportunity to kind of, well, they're kind of afraid of them. I mean, really. I mean, they see how they can be advantaged by tech companies, so they'll do these kind of public scoldings like they do when they pull Mark Zuckerberg in front of Congress or whatever. But ultimately, he's never going to be, it's never going to be nationalized or something, you know, because
so did you hear
it serves too much to benefit them.
They might be what's the word, breaking up Facebook, you know, like they did to Windows or Microsoft back in the day.
Do you think they are? Where is this coming from?
I don't know, I just read about it in the paper. They were saying it's like considered a monopoly. They were like, anti-monopoly laws in the States, so that can mean that the company has to be broken up into subsidiary parts, you know? Which would be interesting.
I was just looking up, I mean, it's kind of related to something I wanted to talk about this morning, which is the latest attempt by the Irish Times, Jennifer Bray in particular, to kind of have a story which goes after Sinn Féin's dominance on social media platforms. So the headline of this one, secret Facebook group reveals bitter tirades and abuse of Sinn Féin's opponents. So subtitle, Sinn Féin asks Facebook to take down secret page followed by 16,000 supporters. Okay. Basically, it is what it is. It's an unofficial Sinn Féin Facebook page where it seems like 16,000 people get on and talk about any news article going that's like, and just go, what the fucking Leo, just fucking kill him, you know?
Just like us.
Like, yeah, I know. Like, because what is she was like, listen to these appalling things that they've said, and besides one of them, which was racist, they were all things that I could conceivably imagine this podcast saying about Leo Varadkar.
Yeah.
Like, let me pull this up. Cut Leo the liar's throat for sure. I know what Michael Collins would have done with a snitch like Leo the Leak. 1 round and a round well spent. Another said Collins would shoot Leo in the face like most of the Irish would love to. And what was it? Put him in a bog. Needs a belt of a shovel badly. The bigger, the heavier, the better.
These guys, like, are basically IRA cosplayers. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, totally.
If you're in the IRA these days, you're just like, let's shoot them in broad daylight. But these guys are like, let's bury him in a bog, just like they did in the 70s. You know, people who would never do anything, but are just trying to be like, oh, I'm in the IRA. I know people in the IRA. You know?
Yeah.
They're like, so someone's trying to blame Sinn Féin for running this, basically, are they?
They're not blaming them for running it. It's the same Bernie Sanders playbook. They're blaming them for not condemning it.
Condemning a private Facebook group that they didn't know about.
Secret group, as described by Facebook. Let me just look into... When contacted early in December by the Irish Times, a spokeswoman for Facebook said, quote, "We've looked into this group and can confirm it is still live as a secret group." Sorry, that's not relevant. There were 3 Sinn Féin TDs. Oh, no, wait a second. Maybe just two Sinn Féin TDs who were in the group. Councillors.
No.
There were councillors. No, Claire. Oh, yeah, sorry. Members of the group included Sligo Leitrim TD, Martin Kenny, and Clare TD, Violet and Wynne, as well as multiple Sinn Féin councillors.
Okay.
They left the group this week after the Irish Times contacted Sinn Féin with a series of questions.
Sinn Féin are so full of, like, internet weirdos, aren't they? Like,
yeah.
Like, that seems to be the Sinn Féin nutcase, is the guy who's, like, online talking about 5G and... Like,
but also, like, it's not like the sole group, the sole person in the fucking thing. You're talking about 16,000 members. And
I know, but if you're a TD, you can't be in a group where the guy's like, I'd love to shoot and murder another.
That's Facebook, though. Literally every Facebook thing. Like, you go into the Journal and they'd have comments like that.
But it seems like it's, like, the way you've described it is pretty prevalent. This sort of...
Well, this is because I'm reading the Irish Times article. I mean, this doesn't take into account, like, Fine Gael supporters, or I don't know. I guess I feel like people are particularly passionate about politics online and emotive in their language. And there is the obvious parallels with the IRA of the stuff that they're saying. But like you said, I just find it fucking cosplay. I just think it's really stupid to just it's like opening up Facebook and going, haha, look at this. It's like, yeah, that's what Facebook does. It radicalizes all of these people and, like, makes them violent and vicious and and again, like,
I just think it's a bad...
the stuff that they say about politics, I wouldn't really think twice about saying some of the stuff that they're saying, particularly about Joan Burton. It's like, it's like
I just think it's a bad look for a TD to be in a group like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not good.
Yeah, fair enough.
But it's not actually that big a deal.
Yeah.
Just like the bank bailouts weren't a big deal.
The bank bailouts.
They weren't a big deal.
Wait, the administrators are 3-party activists who have featured on local Sinn Féin Facebook pages. Yeah, what? Fuck this. I don't care. Sorry. Let's move on. Yeah, you're right. Let's talk about bailouts instead.
Yeah. What's a bailout?
I don't know. But apparently it didn't happen here, so that's good.
Yeah, Micheál Martin's been having a strong one this week, hasn't he?
Yeah.
First, he was like,
Yeah.
you were explaining this to me. What was the bailout thing about?
Like, he basically, from what I saw in the clip anyway, Richard Boyd Barrett confronted him and used this refrain: you were able to bail out the banks, but you weren't able to bail out the Debenhams workers. And he said, oh, we didn't bail out the banks. That's not a very popular thing to say, you know. And he's like, you know in your heart that we didn't bail out the banks. No, he said, you know in your heart. Let's figure out the full fucking quote. This is the worst one we've done. This
it's just fallen apart in this last minute, but like in regroup.
So it's still possible that we can pull this one out of the fucking.
Yeah.
Okay, so he says the quote is, quote, I talked to you about the banks. The banks were not bailed out. Shareholders in the banks were not bailed out. The state took equity. The shareholders were not bailed out. That's not a popular thing to say, but it's the facts. So people have been breaking this down, and basically he's wrong. I mean, the banks were bailed out, and they counted how many times that he said this again and again. And I've really, throughout this week, I've been looking up articles upon articles to try and understand the idea of a bailout, and I still can't. Like, if it isn't a bailout, then it's a distinction without a difference.
Exactly,
case,
like,
you know.
The fact that he's been calling it a bailout for the past 10 years.
Yeah.
And like, it's so clearly bullshit, and I don't know what possessed him to do it. Like, we were talking earlier, and you said it was like a PR move to get away from
this is a theory
being the
that
bank
people had.
of
Yeah.
bailouts. It's like, with that, you would choose a different word with less connotations. You don't just go, no, that didn't happen. Like, you know? You'd be like...
Well, what's believed? No, you're right. Yeah. Sorry, go on. I didn't mean to...
It's just like, you don't go like, no, the bailouts, what's a bailout? I've never heard of a bailout before in my life. You would just choose a different word. You'd be like, no, we just helped them, you know, or we just provided assistance. But like, it was such a weird... And it was also in the middle of nothing. It was like, what a rebuttal. Where it's always like, we bailed out the bank, so can't we help these people? And he's like, well, we never bailed out the bank, so I don't know what you're even talking about. What a weird, like imagine if, you hear like AOC in America being like, we fund the war, so can we give some money to this? And then Biden's like, what war? What war are you talking about? You know? It's not popular to say, but we never went to war.
Yeah. I mean, like, the two theories. One is that Richard Boyd Barrett wound him up so much that he said something stupid, which is conceivable. The other one is, you kind of alluded to, is that they've hired like a guy who was the fucking editor on The Sun to be their PR guy, and so he's gonna be like, what, like, I don't know, I guess it doesn't make sense to me, because it feels like the bailout was almost the last thing on people's mind, you know?
Yeah.
But the way that he phrased it, so he goes, the banks were not bailed out, and then he immediately corrects himself. He goes, shareholders in the banks were not bailed out, okay?
Yeah.
So it's clearly like, it's almost like somebody told him, that's the line you should go with. Anytime a bailout is mentioned, say shareholders in the banks were not bailed out, you know? But for some reason he just fucked up in the first instance. He goes, the banks were not bailed out.
Yeah. But like, it's also like, Boyd Barrett isn't trying to get into the nitty gritty of the financial crisis. He's just been like, in the past we've helped people, so why not help them again?
Yeah.
You know? And Emil Martin's been like, we never help people, you know? It was in an equally confusing one with the student nurses. You know, they were like, these student nurses are doing the work of fully qualified nurses to work in full time. And this is disgraceful. I think it was Mary Lou was saying this. Yeah. And Emil Martin's response was like, or they shouldn't. Students shouldn't be working. And if you were actually on the left, you would agree with me. So we shouldn't pay them because they shouldn't be working. And it's actually disgraceful that they're working.
Yeah.
And then she was like, but they are working. And he's like, but they shouldn't be. And you should know that. And you should be saying that they shouldn't be working instead of saying they should be getting paid. So his reasoning was like, because they're students, they shouldn't be working, so we're not going to pay them.
Mm-hmm.
But we're also not going to stop.
Yeah,
We're also not going to stop them working.
Okay.
So
this is good stuff. Yeah.
it's like, that was wild. It was like, and then Mary Lou was just like, they are working. They are. And he was like, stop interrupting me when I'm like, stop interrupting me when I'm bullshitting you, you know?
I love it. Even more just is getting further and further away from the fact that they're talking about the fucking Debenhams workers. They're talking about workers in general. It's like they won't talk about the workers, do you know?
Yeah. You know the way, like, we always saw, like, Leo sort of look to, like, Trump and maybe Macron, all these people. Maybe Martin's looking towards Biden, you know? And he's like, actually, it's very clever when he forgets everything and can't talk, you know? Maybe I should start doing that, you know?
I'm confusing it for a tactic.
Yeah, confusing the mental illness for a tactic.
The other thing that he said in it was, I hope that he basically said, I'm paraphrasing now, but he says to Richard Boyd Barrett, you know, if you wanted to implement your left-wing agenda, I hope that you don't get into power because thousands of people will be migrating away because of the loss of jobs.
Unlike,
which was such a strange thing to say,
particularly for Fianna Fáil. Like, I think they encourage people to leave during the recession to get jobs elsewhere. Like, like immigration was one of their key, like, blocks for addressing unemployment during the recession. You know, like, so he's like, you're going to make so many people leave the country. But they've been leaving the country for years, you know? They've been leaving the country since 2008 because of the work of his government. Or like, you know?
And before that as well. And because of the work of his government.
Yeah,
so,
like...
you know, people were out there saying it was like, oh, my brother left under Haughey, I left under, you know, Bertie. You know?
Yeah.
Stuff like this. It's like...
So he's like...
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to ruin the country. And this is it. Like, he's completely untethered from the truth, you know?
Well, it's kind of confusing. It's just kind of like, I think this year has been really weird for me because we started off like a politics podcast and I thought I had like kind of a bit of a read on things, and then after that last election, the parties have kind of actually started to shift a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they're starting to become, for years and years and years, they were something I understood, and now they're becoming something that I don't understand at all. I think it's the nurses and stuff, we talked about it in the last podcast, but just in particular, the idea that, like, you can't even pay the nurses. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like... what's the point of this anymore? What's going on? And nobody seems to know why they're going in there, what's happening, and the only thing that they can think to do is I just have to not only get through this day, get through this fucking sentence. Do you know what I mean? Get to the end of that's what I have to do.
Yeah.
And whatever I need to say that will make that slightly easier, I'm just going to do that. And it's not even a lie. It's more like it doesn't... You know, like I'm so familiar to one way of talking. Like for years and years and years, it was like they would go on, they would say this stuff, and then they would be like, now hang on, I let you finish, now you let me finish, and nobody would say anything and nothing would be advanced. And now we're at a point where it's like, you know, objective reality is now up for debate with these people, do you know?
Yeah.
You know, like the bailout, it's like that didn't happen, do you know?
And like, if you look at the Debenhams workers, you know, the Debenhams workers, you know, on strike now for 250 days, and what they're looking for is redundancy, right?
Yeah.
And they met with the government, and the thing that was proposed was instead of getting, money that they were promised and should be guaranteed by the state, or actually gotten from the company itself, they were given 3 million as opposed to the 15 million they were asking for. They were given 3 million that was going to be used to retrain them.
Wow.
And it was just like, that's not the conversation we're having. That's that's not what they're asking for. That's not what anyone asked for. That's not what they need.
Yeah.
So where did you get that from? Like, where did you get that from? Where did that come out of,
Just such an unwillingness to give anybody a solitary cent,
But even just to listen to what they're saying, like, that offer is just like, he wasn't even listening,
Yeah.
The one bit of good news was the, you won down on Cork. The girl who needs
that was good news.
Yeah. The government have guaranteed the delivery of medical cannabis to Ava Toomey down in Cork, who needs it. So, and to everybody in the country who needs medical cannabis. So, maybe you and I could get some.
I fucking love that, to be honest. Sometimes I wonder if I even like weed at all. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes I'm like, wow, it's cool. It's
Yeah.
like, let's just smoke one. And then every time I do, I just feel terrified and like everybody hates me, and like every other moment is the real moment, and the other one was a fake moment, and fucking hell, I'm trapped in my mind.
Could give you a real sense of clarity, all right.
What was it? The latest Neffit proved right, and Leo kind of whatever.
What was that?
I don't know. I'm beat. No, I just mean that we might not even be in the new year before we go back into lockdown, and literally everything that Neffit said would happen has happened, and they're kind of going, well, there was no real way to predict this, and obviously we had to have Christmas, and it's just like, this is so fucking weird. You are so, like, I think that's it. I think the reason it's becoming more exposed is because of something like COVID, because COVID is such an objective thing. People get sick and they die, and the things that they need are obvious, and it can't just be like, let's say with housing or something, it used to be that like, there's different solutions to this thing, and that means that they can pursue more market oriented solutions because that's what they believe in, and they can bash the left on for reasons like that. But now it's like the eviction ban happened, housing we have the data now to show that worked. Why did the eviction ban need to happen? Because people needed to be off the streets, because fuck that, like, you can't have people out there or in these accommodation hubs where they're infecting each other. It's like there's a thing that has been introduced which is just objective, and it's like, facts don't care about your feelings, COVID doesn't care about your feelings, or whatever the policies, it doesn't care about this discussion or this idea that we, hang on, we all want the same thing. It's like, oh no, actually we need to do the thing that works, and the thing that works. So now anyways, it's like, I mean, you see it in America at the moment that they don't want to set a precedent for doing anything for people, so they're literally about to let Americans go into the new year without another stimulus check. They got like one stimulus check of like either 1,200 or 600 during the summer.
I think it was 600.
And it's like, and now it's like they're arguing for like 600 again, and they're not able to fucking get it. It's like, the people are like, the Democrats, like, they could have agreed on a package, but they didn't want to allow Trump to send out checks with his name on it again before the election. So everybody's just in this weird stalemate where it's like, they can't allow anything to happen because that would mean that you're proving that stuff can happen, what is this in relation to fucking Fianna Fáil and all this? Or I guess just the new tone of politics for me. I mean, maybe it's always been like this, but it feels different where it's like, you know, I feel like there is an objective reality that's been exposed, and instead of engaging with it, they're just kind of pretending that it doesn't exist at all, do you know?
Yeah, they've gotten much more comfortable blatantly lying, you know?
Yeah. Not even like lies that are kind of like I said, we all want the same thing. We just have different ways of achieving it. This one, it's like, okay, no, you can't have that because you went to Bobby Story's funeral. And you're just like, wow, what's going on? What's happening now? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
why can't we can't do anything. We can't have anything nice because apparently there's 16,000 people on a Facebook page who think that Leo should be hit over the head with a shovel. It's like, I think he should be hit over there with a shovel. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it's, I don't know. It's all a bit mad.
Yeah, this is a bit of a mess of an episode. What was the other one? The other thing that we wanted to talk about was CETA. CETA.
I will have to go. So will we talk about that tomorrow?
Oh, shit.
On the pod. We have to.
Fine. Yeah, sure.
Cool. We better thank the patrons.
Okay, if you can hear that, that's the dryer in the background. And you heard what James said there. It's time to thank the patrons. If you want to become a patron, go to patreon.com/Celtic Ligers, and €5 a month gets you a host of bonus content, one additional episode a week, and yeah, please do that. Also, rate and review on iTunes, or just tell a friend can help us spread the word about this podcast. Now we're gonna thank those patrons. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.
And the theme will be Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk, yes, 2077. Why did they decide on that year? It kind of bugs me. It's like Mystery Science Theater 3000. It's like, you know, oh no, we need a kind of slightly odd number, just to be like 77.
Yeah, I think it was just to make it a bit more specific, maybe.
So, will I start reading them out? So, Cyberpunk, Rob Gale. Thank you, Rob Gale.
So what is the Rob Gale? Or was that your suggestion? Cyberpunk Rob Gale?
Cyberpunk, Rob Gale. The end. Let's go to the next one. Thank you, Stephen Bradley.
Stephen
Motherboardley.
Yes. Yeah.
Alison Yeah. Alison Spittle.
What about Alison Spittoon?
Spittoon, because it's like, howdy partner, I'm a cyberpunk.
That's it, I'm a cyber cowboy.
Yeah.
You know?
Richard Zimmerman.
Richard.
Fucking hell. I feel like with Z, that should be...
Yeah, they know it lend itself.
I mean?
What about Richard Shimmer? Man, he's a hologram. You know?
Yes. Okay, yeah, cool. Bridget Purcell. That'll be... Oh, wait. Bridget Powercell.
Yes.
Come on.
No,
that
that's
was
really good.
Yeah, okay. Milky Fox. Milky Firefox.
The most cyberpunk of all the web browsers. I'm with you.
Exactly. Kyle O'Neill.
What about Time to Steal?
Time to Steal in the Cyberpunk. I have another one as well. It's called Kylo Peel Out on my Akira style motorbike.
Excellent.
Yeah. Connor Barry. That'll be Computer Barry.
Barry's computer.
That was bad.
Computer.
Barry's computer. Like they don't make tea anymore. They make computers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They pivoted to computers.
Yeah, that's what happens in the future. Everything is just computers. It's like, you make breakfast cereal. No, you make computers now.
That's it.
You know. Liam McCartan. Fucking hell. Liam McCartan. God damn it. This one's really bugging me.
Yeah, we were on a roll there. What about...
Liam McSpartan. He's part of the gang called the Spartans in Cyberpunk.
I was thinking like Steam, like Liam, Steam. Steam.
Fucking hell, that was such a good one. Steam is good. Steam for punk, you know?
Yeah.
Like Steam.
But how'd you make it
Steam McSpartan. Steam McSpartan, because
Yes.
that's his name in
The gang.
his gang in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they run on Steam.
Yeah. It's like, yo, you better not come into Steam Town.
Yeah, because we run
yeah.
on Steam. We're those steamy robots, you know.
Mm.
We run on coal, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Claire O'Neill, that'll be rare. Oh,
Yeah, rare gold.
Rare gold's bullion that you need in the future, because like we don't have currency anymore, but we trade in rare gold bullion.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
and also like a Boolean search on the computer. She does that as well.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Niall McGillicool. Niall McSkrill.
Skrillex is cool.
Skrillex is cool.
Yeah.
Niall McSkrillex is cool. Yeah. Ronan Kerry.
Ronan Scary, of course, obviously.
Yes.
No.
Damn it! I wish we hadn't. It's ruined now. Now that we know that we're doing it, it's
Yeah,
like,
let's give him another. Let's give him.
Fuck.
What
Well,
about
that's
this?
it, Ronan. I hope you're happy. This has been ruined now.
What about
Ruining Scary.
Yeah. What about Ronan Scary? Because the future is scary. You see.
Yeah. Exactly.
yeah.
Because the future is scary.
Change is scary.
Nick.
Even 5 minutes in the future deeply
Yeah.
scares me.
Yeah. Neve Kelly Screen Welly. And Welly is the term. She's Cockney in the future. So it's like when you boot up your computer, you go, oh, I gotta welly this up. Because you're.
Well, what about this? She's on her Akira style motorbike. She's,
Yeah.
friends with Kyle Peel, whatever.
Kyle O'Peel out on his Akira style motorbike.
And he's like, I better peel out. And she's like, I'm going to give it some welly. Too.
Yes. Yeah. We always use welly a lot. That's a reliable rhyme for Neve's name. And Neve Tetsuo Welly. Tetsuo!
What?
Just like in Akira. Have you not seen
I've
Akira?
never seen Akira.
I don't know if I like Akira, but it is good. It's very good. Paulie Doyle. Oh my god, I nearly have one.
You nearly had one.
Yeah,
That would
it was
have
about
been
Royal.
so sick if you.
Well, now I'm just imagining it's kind of embarrassing because I'm thinking like I keep thinking of gangs that are happening in the cyberpunk world, and I'm wondering whether that's because Gavin Dre is the lead voice, and I'm thinking of that Dream Gun sketch where it's like back in town,
I want you to.
Which I was
I want
in.
you to bleep.
You were in it as well.
I want you to bleep out the name Dream Gun. They're not. We're not giving them any paid promotion. What about So what was the gang going to be called?
It was going to be called the Paulie Royals, and he'd have a crown, and he'd be
And the crowd spits out microchips.
Yeah, or it kind of is like has a constant trail of receipts coming out of the back of it, you know?
Oh, what?
A constant trail of receipts being printed out.
Oh,
of it.
that's sick. Because he has all the receipts.
Yeah. Also, it's kind of keeping track of like his
Thought.
his stocks, I guess, or something, you know?
Yes, Paulie Doyle is notoriously stock rich. He's notoriously a day trader.
Yeah. I mean, he might not be rich in stock, but he's rich in friends. Paulie, thank you very much.
He's
Paulie Royal,
rich in
everybody.
receipts.
Mm-hmm. Joe Joyce.
Joe Joyce.
I almost did the one that we've done before, which was Judge Joyce, who is in Judge Dredd. He's the Irish judge.
What about like no joy? You know, like there's no joy, no choice. What about no choice? Because it's like the future.
In the future, he's anti-choice.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, Joe. We wouldn't do you like that.
What about?
Oh, I got one.
Okay.
No, it's bad.
No, just say
okay. Bojo Joyce, okay?
it.
And he's like a cosplaying Boris Johnson in the future.
Oh, so he
Because
he thinks Boris
Yeah.
Johnson's really refined, and he's like,
he becomes like an
born-
English kind of...
I was born
Yeah.
in the wrong generation. He's like, wait, yeah, it's like a guy who is dressing up as Boris Johnson.
Yeah.
So like,
But who hasn't done a tremendous amount of research on Boris Johnson. Like people who really love Winston Churchill.
exactly,
You know?
yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
Bojo Joyce.
Yeah, that'd be you in the future.
What about Bojo by choice? You know?
Bojo by choice, perfect. That was the best one that we could do. I'm very sorry, Joe.
Thank you for your patronage.
Yeah, he's going to be in Cyberpunk Watch Dogs Legion. That's what Bojo Joyce is in. Apparently Watch Dogs Legion is like really like everybody calls it like even despite the fact that they consulted a lot of like British people to try and make it authentic, it still is like bloody hell, governor, I better get me top hat on and hit the double decker.
That's what they sound like, though.
Yeah, so www.celticligers.com, and then also you can find us at Celtic Ligers on most things, including an Instagram now, which as soon as I get a good internet